There is a graveyard stretched across the entire planet. It is not marked by headstones or monuments. Its occupants lie beneath volcanic ash, river sediment, and limestone, buried for hundreds of thousands of years. These are not the remains of modern humans, though they share our deepest lineage. They are the lost hominins, the forgotten branches of the human family tree, species who once walked upright, crafted tools, nurtured their young, and gazed up at the same stars we see tonight. They lived, they struggled, they vanished, and yet, in a profound sense, they never truly left us. For most of human history, we believed we were alone. We thought Homo sapiens stood singular and exceptional, the sole torchbearer of consciousness on Earth. But the ground beneath our feet tells a different story. With every excavation, every fragment of skull or femur pulled from the dust, we discover we were never the only ones. We shared this world with others, beings startlingly similar to us, yet hauntingly different. They are our siblings, our cousins, our shadows in deep time. And their stories, pieced together by paleontologists and archaeologists, reveal not just who they were, but who we are. The story begins in Africa, the cradle of all humanity. Around 7 million years ago, the first hominins diverged from the ancestors we share with chimpanzees. These earliest members of our lineage were nothing like modern humans. They were small, their brains modest, their lives dictated by instinct and survival, but they possessed something revolutionary. They walked upright. Bipedalism, the ability to stand and move on two legs, redefined what it meant to be hominin. It freed the hands for tool use, altered social structures, and set the stage for the expansion of the brain. One of the earliest known hominins is Sahelanthropus tadensis, whose skull, nicknamed Tuma, was discovered in Chad in 2001. Dating back nearly 7 million years, Tuma represents a time when our ancestors were just beginning to explore life on two legs. The evidence is fragmentary, debated, enigmatic, but it offers a glimpse of the deep roots from which the entire human family tree would grow. Fast forward a few million years, and the hominin world becomes crowded. By 3 million years ago, multiple species coexisted across Africa. Australopithecus afarensis, famously represented by the skeleton known as Lucy, roamed the Ethiopian highlands, standing just over 3 feet tall. Lucy and her kin were adept climbers and walkers, bridging the gap between arboreal life and terrestrial dominance. They had small brains, roughly the size of a chimpanzee's, but their social behaviors were growing more complex. They lived in groups, foraged together, and may have cared for their injured and elderly. But Lucy's species was not alone. Paranthropus boisei, often called Nutcracker Man due to its massive jaws and teeth, chewed its way through tough vegetation in East Africa. Australopithecus sediba in South Africa exhibited a mosaic of primitive and advanced traits, hinting at the experimental nature of evolution. The hominin world was not a straight line of progress. It was a branching bush, each twig representing a different attempt at survival, a different answer to the question of how to live. Around 2.5 million years ago, something shifted. The climate grew more volatile, forests receded, grasslands expanded, and resources became unpredictable. In response, a new genus emerged, Homo. These hominins had larger brains, more sophisticated tools, and increasingly flexible behaviors. They were problem solvers, adapters, survivors in a changing world. Homo habilis, or handy man, is often considered one of the first members of our genus. Discovered in Tanzania's Olduvai Gorge, Homo habilis lived around 2.4 to 1.4 million years ago. They crafted simple stone tools, flacked from river cobbles, to butcher animals and process plants. These Oldoan tools mark the dawn of technology, the moment when hominins began to reshape the world with intentionality and creativity. But Homo habilis was just the beginning. Around 1.9 million years ago, Homo erectus appeared. This species would become one of the most successful hominins ever to exist. Taller and more robust than their predecessors, Homo erectus had brains nearly twice the size of Lucy's. They mastered fire, a transformative innovation that provided warmth, protection, and the ability to cook food, unlocking nutrients and fueling further brain growth. They crafted refined hand axes, symmetrical and purposeful, tools that reveal an aesthetic sensibility, a sense of form beyond mere function. Homo erectus was also the first hominin to leave Africa. Their fossils have been found across Asia, from the Republic of Georgia to China to Indonesia. They ventured into new climates, adapted to new environments, and persisted for nearly 2 million years. Few species in Earth's history can claim such longevity. Yet despite their success, Homo erectus eventually faded, outlasted by newer, more adaptable cousins. As Homo erectus spread, the hominin family tree continued to diversify. In Europe and Western Asia, a remarkable species evolved, the Neanderthals, Homo neanderthalensis. For decades, Neanderthals were caricatured as brutish and dim-witted, evolutionary dead ends. But modern science has shattered that myth. Neanderthals were sophisticated, intelligent, and deeply human in ways we are only beginning to understand. They lived in Ice Age Europe, enduring climates far harsher than anything modern humans faced in Africa. They hunted massive animals like mammoths and woolly rhinoceroses, using carefully crafted spears and coordinated strategies. They built shelters, controlled fire, and created tools of stunning complexity. Some Neanderthal sites contain evidence of symbolic behavior, ochre pigments, perforated shells used as ornaments, even engravings on cave walls. They buried their dead, sometimes with flowers and grave goods, suggesting a conception of life, death, and perhaps something beyond. Genetic studies have revealed an even more intimate connection. When Homo sapiens migrated out of Africa around 60,000 years ago, they encountered Neanderthals, and they interbred. Today, people of non-African descent carry roughly 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. These ancient genes influence our immune systems, our skin and hair, even our susceptibility to certain diseases. Neanderthals did not vanish entirely. They live on, whispered echoes in our genomes, silent partners in our evolutionary journey. But Neanderthals were not the only cousins Homo sapiens encountered. In the caves of Siberia, a fingerbone no larger than a pebble revealed the existence of an entirely unknown hominin species, the Denisovans. Discovered in 2010 in Denisova Cave, this tiny fragment of bone, combined with a few teeth and bits of skull, opened a window into a ghost population that once ranged across Asia. Denisovans are known almost entirely from their DNA. We have no complete skeletons, no clear pictures of their faces or bodies, yet their genetic legacy is profound. Modern populations in Melanesia, Australia, and parts of Southeast Asia carry significant amounts of Denisovan DNA, some as much as 5%. One Denisovan gene variant, found in Tibetan populations, helps people survive at high altitudes by regulating oxygen in the blood. This is evolution in action, a gift from a lost species, enabling their descendants to thrive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The mystery deepens with every discovery. In 2019, a jawbone found on the Tibetan plateau was identified as Denisovan, proving they lived at elevations above 10,000 feet over 160,000 years ago. Who were the Denisovans? How did they live? What did they believe? We may never fully know, but their shadows linger in the DNA of millions. Then there are the truly strange, the hominins that defy easy categorization. On the Indonesian island of Flores, researchers uncovered remains of Homo floresiensis, a species that stood barely 3.5 feet tall. Dubbed the Hobbit, Homo floresiensis had a brain the size of a grapefruit, yet they made sophisticated stone tools and hunted pygmy elephants called stegodons. They survived on Flores until at least 50,000 years ago, persisting in isolation while the world beyond changed dramatically. The discovery of Homo floresiensis challenged fundamental assumptions about brain size and intelligence. How could such a small-brained species create complex tools and thrive for hundreds of thousands of years? It suggests intelligence is not purely a function of brain volume, but of organization, adaptation, and perhaps creativity in ways we do not fully comprehend. In 2015, Another astonishing discovery emerged from deep within South Africa's Rising Star Cave. Homo naledi, a species with a curious mix of primitive and modern traits, was found in a chamber accessible only through a narrow chute. Over 1,500 fossil elements were recovered, representing at least 15 individuals. Homo naledi had a small brain, long arms suited for climbing, yet human-like hands and feet. Most strikingly, the context of the find suggested intentional body disposal, a behavior previously thought exclusive to large-brained hominins like Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. If Homo naledi deliberately placed their dead in that remote chamber, it implies ritualistic or symbolic thinking, a recognition of death's significance. The implications are staggering. Intelligence, culture, and spirituality may have deeper, older roots than we imagine. These lost hominins were not failed experiments. They were survivors, each adapted to their environments, each solving the puzzle of existence in their own way. They hunted and gathered, raised children, felt fear and joy, perhaps even loved. They experienced the world through eyes not so different from ours. And then, one by one, they disappeared. Why did they vanish? The reasons are complex and varied. Climate change played a role, altering habitats and food sources. Competition, both ecological and direct, may have pressured some species into extinction. Homo sapiens, with our remarkable adaptability and social networks, may have outcompeted others for resources. In some cases, interbreeding blurred the lines, absorbing smaller populations into our own genetic pool. Disease, catastrophe, and simple bad luck each claimed their share. But perhaps the most humbling realization is this: survival is not a measure of worth. Neanderthals thrived for over 300,000 years. Homo erectus endured for nearly 2 million. By comparison, Homo sapiens has existed for roughly 300,000 years. We are the new arrivals, the upstarts. Our survival is not guaranteed. The lost hominins remind us that extinction is the rule, not the exception. Every species, no matter how successful, eventually faces the precipice. Yet these vanished beings are not entirely gone. In our DNA, we carry fragments of Neanderthal and Denisovan heritage. In our behaviors, we echo strategies and innovations pioneered by Homo erectus and earlier ancestors. Our capacity for symbolic thought, tool use, social cooperation, all have roots stretching back millions of years, nurtured and refined by species whose names we are only now learning. The search for lost hominins continues. New technologies, from ancient DNA analysis to advanced imaging and isotopic studies, reveal details once unimaginable. Fossils discovered decades ago are re-examined with fresh eyes and new methods, yielding insights that rewrite our understanding. Remote caves, desert badlands, and forgotten museum drawers still hold secrets waiting to emerge. Each discovery is a piece of the puzzle, a thread in the tapestry of human origins. But the picture is far from complete. For every hominin species we have named, how many remain unknown, their bones eroded, their existence erased by time? How many lived and died without leaving a trace, their stories lost forever? These questions haunt the edges of paleoanthropology. They remind us that our knowledge is provisional, our narratives incomplete. The story of human evolution is not a neat progression from primitive to advanced, but a tangled web of experimentation, adaptation, and contingency. We are not the pinnacle of evolution. We are its current expression, shaped by the same forces that molded every hominin before us. Understanding our lost cousins changes how we see ourselves. It humbles our exceptionalism and deepens our empathy. If Neanderthals buried their dead with care, if Homo naledi pondered mortality, if Denisovans gifted us genes that let us breathe on mountaintops, then the boundary between us and them grows faint. They were not almost human. They were human in all the ways that matter. This recognition carries profound implications. It challenges the notion that Homo sapiens alone possesses consciousness, culture, or significance. It suggests that the qualities we treasure, compassion, creativity, curiosity, have ancient origins, shared by beings who never knew they were part of a greater story. In a world increasingly defined by division, the lost hominins offer a different perspective. They remind us that diversity is strength, that experimentation drives survival, and that extinction awaits the inflexible. They teach us that intelligence takes many forms, that success is temporary, and that our time on Earth is both precious and fragile. As we look to the future, the lessons of the past grow more urgent. Climate change, habitat destruction, and resource depletion threaten countless species today, including our own. The lost hominins faced similar pressures. Some adapted, some perished. We stand at a crossroads, armed with knowledge and technology our ancestors could never have imagined. Yet we face challenges that echo theirs: a changing world, uncertain resources, the need for cooperation and innovation. Perhaps the greatest gift the lost hominins offer is perspective. We are not alone in history. We are part of a continuum, a lineage stretching back millions of years, populated by beings who shared our struggles and dreams. They walked the same earth, under the same sky, driven by the same fundamental needs: to survive, to connect, to understand. Their bones, scattered across continents, are more than scientific curiosities. They are monuments to resilience, testaments to the enduring power of life. Each fragment tells a story of adaptation, individuals who faced impossible odds and, for a time, prevailed. They remind us that we are the descendants of survivors, inheritors of a legacy forged in fire, ice, and stone. As the sun sets on another day, as we go about our modern lives, surrounded by technology and comfort, it is worth pausing to remember them. The Neanderthal mother cradling her child in a firelit cave. The Homo erectus band crossing a river into unknown lands. The Denisovan elder, breath misting in the high mountain air. The small-statured people of Flores, hunting beneath a tropical canopy. They lived, they mattered, they were us. And in the deepest sense, they still are. Every time we shape a tool, tell a story, bury a loved one, or gaze in wonder at the stars, we honor their memory. We continue the journey they began, walking paths they first traced, dreaming dreams they first imagined. The lost hominins are not forgotten. They are rediscovered, reborn in every fragment unearthed, every genome sequenced, every question asked. They live in the quiet spaces of our DNA, in the structures of our bones, in the depth of our minds. They are the foundation upon which we stand, the shadows that shaped our light. And so the search continues, driven by an ancient hunger to know where we come from, who walked before us, and what it means to be human. The ground still holds secrets, the caves still whisper, and somewhere, buried beneath time and stone, another lost cousin waits to be found, ready to tell us once more that we were never truly alone. In the end, perhaps that is the most important revelation of all. In a vast and often indifferent universe, countless beings shared our shape, our struggles, our spark. They are gone, but not erased. They are silent, but not forgotten. And as long as we remember, as long as we seek, as long as we wonder, they walk with us still, footsteps echoing across the ages, reminders that the story of humanity is far older, stranger, and more beautiful than we ever dared imagine.